Hello everyone, I am Dumiku Dumela, the author of My Father's Daughter. Welcome to my book launch. I hope you all enjoy it just as much as I have enjoyed putting it together. Thank you.
Let me start with this one from the Bible. Okay, I think this is also part of what is in my question and answers. I will just summarize some of them. Maybe let me start with this question, my girl.
Yes, Daddy.
I've been calling her my girl. I sometimes forget what her name is because she's my girl. I just want to check, how did you come up with the title of the book?
Well, about 10 years ago, I was working at an internet cafe, and there were offices right next door to ours. It was the office of the social development guys. And during their coffee breaks, I always came to the internet cafe to come and chat up. And we used to talk about a lot of things. And one day, one of the guys said to me, "You should consider writing a book." I was like, "No." He's like, "Try it and call it My Father's Daughter." I was like, "Why?" He said, "You will know when the time comes." So 10 years later, I'm sitting here as the author of My Father's Daughter.
And what part of this book, My Father's Daughter, did you have the hardest time writing?
Probably the part everybody can't read, chapter 2. Because there's some who haven't read it and some who are still going to, I'm not going to elaborate on what is in that chapter, but for me it took me through an emotional journey that I can never explain verbally to anyone. I still struggle to read it, so it was not even just an issue of writing it. Even reading it is still difficult. So I understand why a lot of people still can't go through that chapter, and I'll cry. I will allow myself to get past it.
And then opposite to that one, what is the most fun of that book that you enjoyed writing?
The first chapter. It had to be the first chapter. It was not the first chapter I wrote, it just happened to be the first chapter in the book. But it highlights quite a lot of moments in my life that I believe are the core of me. And if you really want to know who Dumi is, that's where you need to start. So that for me was like the best.
You know, I just want to take a paragraph that is on page 37. I want to read it to you, and I just want to get your views as audience. I'm still having strong eyes. I'm reading at the age of 62 without glasses.
Yeah.
Chapter, all right, let me say that is the sermon. That is on the chapter, the sermon. That is on page 37. It says, or it reads as follows. Some of us grew up in neighborhoods where the child next door missed school due to financial difficulties. When a Saturday action movie on the night was the drunk man across the street chasing his wife with a stick. Where kids were not allowed to go out and play because parents didn't want them exposing their true lives to their friends. I think we all know that some kids, when they play outside, they will demonstrate what is happening in the house. No? Where women wore makeup to hide the bruises on their faces, and men were verbally abused by their wives who constantly reminded them of how they are useless cowards. We know people who have lost loved ones, children who had to become breadwinners, some who were raped by their very own uncles, while other family go to bed hungry. Little boys suffering in silence because our society teaches young boys that they are not supposed to cry. Yet we later watch the same boy grew up to be broken up or to be broken man. I just decided to take this part of the book and say, maybe you came across such an activity or an event, or you came across some of these actions in your neighborhood. I will get 2 or 3 people to share with us actually what did you do in cases of some of the things that I read in this paragraph. By show of hand. Some of you were told men can cry. I see one hand, the second one behind you. Is there any third hand? All right, I'll take the 2. And don't get emotional when they are saying and then you start raising your hand. I'm just taking 2. My brother.
So I think from the paraphrase or the page that you read on, I would say I've seen all of them. I'll tell you why. I grew up in a neighborhood. I don't think a neighborhood. Grew up in a location, in a township in Alexandra. So I've seen, in fact, almost all of those things. I think the worst one was trying to thrive under 2 next door neighbors, one who was abusive and the other one who was a drunkard. So living in a shack, trying to read or study for an exam in matric, having to bang the one door because they are fighting, and on the other one, on the Sunday evening when you have an exam on Monday, having to bang the other door because the guy is playing loud music and he's drunk. So I think I was just saying to Dumi that I can't wait to read your book. I can't wait for my wife to read your book. I can't wait to buy the book for my mother, to buy the book for my sisters. That's just really, I think I can really relate to the phrase that you've just read. So thank you.
As you are coming, brother, and we thought what we saw, it was just the way of life. We just thought this was a way of life, and indeed it's not, because many have been disturbed by all these actions. Tsepo?
ke Tshepo Lepile ke motho wa Setlhare. Itu, you know, a lot of people, when I tell them, I know it's because, I don't know if it's because of how I actually talk to them, and I tell them, look, now I grew up in a village. They don't believe that. Like, how to go wena? No. And I grew up in a village where you wake up, you are woken up by a cow sound, sheep or goat. That's why I woke up. You touched on things that affect people that come from underprivileged communities. I'm from an underprivileged community. And it's not easy to come out from that situation and try to better yourself and better your family. So it was an amazing experience to actually understand that, you know, not only that you go through this alone, there's someone that actually sees or maybe has actually an experience about it. You know, it's the same as when you are married and you talk to people that are also married and you talk about the difficulties that you actually go through in marriage. So I feel, you know, when you talk, you know, it touched me that you spoke about, you know, these communities that are underprivileged, because actually I'm from there as well. And it's not easy, you know, to try and come out from that and try and speak like I speak from that, because it takes a lot of heart, it takes a lot of commitment from your parents to actually, you know, support you in trying to actually, not to say that, support you in what you want to actually achieve in life as well. So it was an eye-opener, because sometimes I feel we sit on our laurels to think that we don't go through these things with other people, like other people can actually see. You know, there's a difference between people can see and the other people that can actually go through them. So when you go through them and you can actually see that, oh, there's someone else who's actually going through, or is actually seeing what you're actually going through. So it was actually an eye-opener as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You know, when I grew up in Lady Selborne, I was seeing myself being happy with my wife on a Sunday afternoon, coming from the bar, singing like the guys I've been seeing them walking from the bar with their wives, you know, going home singing, Ale Potate Boyaka Gitla. Hey, sing when a man, sing. You know, we thought this was life. We thought this was the best thing to do. And we imagine ourselves being married couple doing same thing. You know, I think we need to correct some of these things. I'm going to ask you a question from the bowl, where they want to know, what do you laugh about? What do you cry about? What makes you truly happy? And what do you dream about?
What was the first one?
What do you laugh about? I know, but what do you laugh about?
About everything. Guess I'm gonna forget some of them. I dream about a lot. I have been a dreamer for as long as I can remember. But my biggest dream right now is seeing myself waking up one day and have my daughter say, "Because of you, I am awesome." What makes me truly happy, yeah, that's a tricky one. It's being at peace. That for me is happiness in a bowl, in Jay. I don't cry much. Let me rephrase that. I stop myself from crying. I make sure I don't cry. But when I do, it's usually because I'm trying to release whatever it is that I'm feeling inside that is not good, and I refuse to dwell on it. So in my crying, it is to release it so that it does not become part of me. I laugh about anything and everything. So I'm pretty sure all the people who've had a time to just chill, Litumi Nje, will know that laughter is the way to go. It takes away all the stresses, it makes you feel good, and like they say, happy girls are the prettiest, right? Yes.
Chapter 4 of your book is titled The Letter.
Yes.
And it takes me back to that year. And when I was looking at the letter yesterday, I was still asking myself, are you still having that letter? Because for you to be stating the letter, it means it is stored somewhere. And when I was reading this chapter again yesterday, when you were saying, you read the letter, but still you felt you want to breathe for the last time. You know, I remember when I deposited the letter underneath your door, I was just asking myself, will it make you better? And deep down I thought, this is really going to make you better. Can you share with us that chapter on the letter?
I'm not the only writer in the family. My dad writes letters. I still have it. I've got a soft copy and the original letter. The soft copy was because I thought if the ink dries, I'd still want to have record of it. And now I even have it in my book. So it's a guarantee that it would live forever. When I first read the letter, it made me feel worse than I felt at the time. At that time, it felt like I wasn't getting what I needed out of it. It felt like all I was hearing is everything that people will just say to you to make you feel better, so get better. And it felt like both my fathers, and I say both my fathers because I'm referring to my spiritual father and my biological father, were indirectly saying to me, it's life, shit happens. And it took me a couple of steps back. Fast forward a couple of years later, when I read that letter again, it did the total opposite of what it did that night. That night when I read it, I was ready to drink a whole packet of sleeping pills and hope to never wake up. But the next time I read that letter, it was the reason I wanted to live. And it felt good to know that I not only have the support that I need, but I also have a father that's a rock star. So I tell everybody that knows me that my father is my biggest cheerleader. And at times it's an understatement when I say it. It's a big deal. And when I read those words today, I read them with a different perspective. I've grown, I've healed, I've matured in so many ways. So going back to read it now, I read it with a different light. I'm no longer reading it from a person that's crying for help. I'm reading it from a person that knows that she's got the help. And that makes a big difference.
Here is a question from the floor.
I'm scared of the floor.
What inspired you to use your maiden surname rather than your marital surname?
I thought that was going to be the first question.
Maybe before she answers, can I introduce Becky? Becky, can you stand up? That is the husband to Itu,
Yes,
Mr.
husband.
CVC. Right.
I've been writing for years, and every time I write, I've always written TK. Didn't mean much then, because Kitumi Kutumela, right? But even after marriage, that's what I continued writing as. When it got to the point where I needed to publish this book, I remember at first I was like, Dumisibisi maybe? But then I thought my father's daughter is Tumi Kutumela before she's anything else. And if I'm going to come out as an author, a blogger, a speaker, I need to come out with my true identity. Not that my marital surname is not my identity, but Kutumela is the core of who I am. And that's why Tumi Kutumela.
When you were writing an emotional or difficult section, how did you set your mood?
I think my mood,
I think I might be referring to chapter 2, of course, because I could see that was the most difficult section.
look, I think chapter 3 was the most difficult
Chapter 3.
to write, but chapter 2 was the hardest and the most emotional and the one that took me through all sorts of emotions. But chapter 3 was, I wrote it probably like 4 times before it started making sense to me even. But I allow my emotions to dictate what I should write. When I started writing, I was writing because I wanted to express what I'm feeling without fear and judgment from people. There's always that thing that I had in my head that pen and paper will never judge you. Pen and paper is the truth. It's the core of what you're feeling at the time and what you need to be sending out. Saying it to somebody gets misinterpreted and all sorts of things. So all the chapters, in essence, it's not only the emotional ones. It was the emotions that drove the words that came out. It never happened any other way. So I'd be feeling whatever that I'm feeling at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd be writing with my phone. And then I need to start covering up my phone because it's not nice to be woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning with your phone light on. But that's kind of how that writing process happened.
I'm sorry to be taking you back to the floor. The question says, for the little girl who is about to give up because her problems seem bigger than her strength, how does she revive her source of encouragement?
I'll take it back to how I did it because that's the only way I know how to do it. I went back to my roots. I went back to understand who I am made of, and what I am made of. I'm not made by the actions of others. I am not because of others. I am because of God. I am because I'm destined. I am because I am ordained. I am all of that without anybody being the one that needs to validate it. So I always go back to say, Dumi, you are before everybody else says what you need to be. You need to validate who you are and not wait for others to do it for you. Waiting for somebody to do it is just you saying that you want the opinions of other people to dictate how your life should be. The opinions of other people are merely suggestions of what should happen with your life. And until such time you start looking at the core of you and understanding your power, understanding what you are made of, understanding what you are capable of, understanding that you are the one that creates the limits for yourself, you will actually not get out of that mode of discouragement.
I just want to introduce one tallest guy in this room. Brother John, you are not tall. Pastor Monare, can you stand? Let them see you. Pastor Monare, can you stand? And be careful, don't hit this. Don't hit this. Okay. This is the pastor to Itu. All right, thank you. I just wanted people to see you. I still remember one Sunday you introduced a speaker who was to deliver the message. And then you spoke of dynamites coming in small packets, I think, after that message. Now, I just want to go to her to say, do you still remember what you were saying? And can you do it as if this is that church on that Sunday? Because I also was saying, is this my daughter? And when we come home, my wife was saying, you know, your daughter made me cry. I said, it's not my daughter, it's your daughter. Can you preach to these people just the same as you're doing on that Sunday?
No, I can't. Whenever I'm put in front of a crowd to speak, I forget everything that I said at the time. Because I'm merely a vessel. The message is not mine. I didn't create it. I'm just merely a vessel delivering a message. And at that time, I allow myself to be just that. And I allow myself to be used as that. And when I'm done, I'm done.
And what did you decide to write this book? It's from the floor.
My father's daughter is my therapy. It's my healing. When I started writing it, I was writing it because I was struggling to sit in a therapy session with a counselor. And I decided to resort to what I know, which is writing. It was never intended to be a book that got published. When I was writing, I was merely just expressing what I'm feeling, releasing it because I needed to release it. But today, it is what it is. And I don't remember the day I decided it has to be published or it has to be a book. I remember we had this discussion last week a couple of times where she's like, you do know you don't have to publish it if you don't want to, right? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, so what's your plan? Now we've written the book, but what's the plan? And for a while, the plan had to just stop at just my therapy. Until I realized that somebody's healing journey can be somebody else's too. And if it meant that one or two more people out there get healed because of my story, then it is worth telling.
In the audience, there is a writer. He was just outside when he saw the banner. And they were asking, is this a book launch? I said, yes, a book launch. They say, are we allowed to come in because we haven't booked? I said, I will talk to the manager. to allow you to come in. As a new writer, what is it that you are telling him? Can you stand up, my brother? Let them see you.
Bagalia.
And when they were asking this question, the wife says, no, my husband is writing a book. I said that this is the right time that you come in. What is it that you are telling him as a new writer?
Stay true to who you are. Don't let the world waver where you need to go. Don't lose your identity. Don't lose your focus. And remember, your story is worth telling. It's valid. And don't ever forget that.
I'm just asking myself, are we still on time, Karabo? 5 minutes, okay. Let me check with you if there are any books or authors that inspired you when you were writing your book.
I think one of the books is even here, by Joel Austin. There's one chapter in particular that I always went back to, and it's about living your best life now. Not tomorrow, not the day before, not whenever, now in the moment. And that's what I kept going back to, that your time is now, your moment is now. It's not going to be 3 weeks from now. It's not going to be what people say it was supposed to be. Because people are very quick to say such things. But there was a constant reminder that the now is where I need to be living. And the now is evolved into
It's not
awesomeness.
Austin because you are from Austin Street. Do we still have something in the bowl? Is there anyone who would like to ask a question? Here's a mic. Come, brother. Pastor, you can come. Or you can speak from there. Okay. You can remove the mic. Okay.
Before I
This was a personal journey. And I always knew that, yes, I'll get affected some way or another, but I didn't want that to dictate what should happen and how it should happen. I made a decision from the very beginning that this is my life. I lived it. It is my truth. They didn't live it. And at some point, they also needed to know my truth. And I had a conversation with my sister the other day, and she was saying to me, how come you never opened up to me? How come you never said anything? And I don't know why I didn't do it back then, but I've done it now. And for me, this was a chance to say to them, I'm here. I've survived it all. There's still greatness in me. Now let's run with it. I'm from a very supportive family, like extremely, extremely supportive family. From the very, very first days that I can still remember, my parents have always just had my back. You know, there's never been days where I doubted that they were there or they would support whatever journey I choose to take. They've always preached, your personal journey is your journey that you need to travel. There was never a point in any way where they tried to turn all three of their children into the same being. They never tried to make us like them. They always said, this is us living our lives, you decide how yours will be. We are merely examples of what it can be. And I remember talking to Papa one day and he said to me, my child, now I have done it. I have lived. I have born a kiki sharp, kiki grand. Right now, you'll find nothing in my brain. It will be the most worthless brain to find. And I always took such things as courage to say, why have limits with your life? So I considered them, but I put myself first. And I trusted that what they do with it is entirely up to them. I've ran with it.
I think this will be the last question, but it's a personal question. You know, after the incident, then after some years, we were looking at her, we thought she was healed. Then 2 weeks back, or 3 weeks back, when they were launching, it was a pre-launch, when she assembled everyone that made the difference in her life. Then it took me 3 days to read this book. And when I was reading it, I realized that we are living with somebody who, for lack of a better word, was still hurt inside. But you wouldn't realize that she was hurt inside. We were living with somebody who we thought she's okay. I'll make jokes as always. They will laugh. She'll call me. She'll do whatever that I know as my daughter. But after reading the book, I realized I was dealing with somebody different. But what made me happy was after you have said that day that I am healed. Now, how do we see somebody who is still hurt inside when we thought the person is healed? How do we identify that type of a person? And how do you advise people who are having such challenges to say, never do that? Because we were the most hurt people when we thought, oh, our daughter was fine, only to find that really for years you were not fine. I said, this is a personal question.
Very. I personally don't think there's a way to tell if a person is not okay if they don't want you to know that they're not okay. I don't know, it would take something that even I cannot explain. I said to Fenza the other day, we had a 4-hour session, because after she read the book, she was just like, I cannot deal. We need to talk. And she's like, but how did you keep it up? And I say to her, the very same way that somebody would drink a shake, yeah, Herbalife, but I'm losing weight, and then after all the people are gone, they go and they have chocolate. When you want people to believe something, you can make them believe it. I don't know how my family could have done anything different, because I wanted them to believe that I was okay. It's something that I practiced, it's something that I mastered. It's something that even I started believing. So if any of them had come up to me at any point and said, how sharp, I'd turn around and be like, "Yeah, don't make your problems mine." Because even I was convinced at some point that I'm okay. Because I constantly looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Girl, ushapu, you are okay." You know, and I don't know. They say it takes 21 days to build a new habit? That's probably all it took for me to start convincing everybody that I was okay, because even I started believing it. But my okay was not necessarily okay. It's not what I am now. Back then, my okay was hidden with fear. It was clothed with shame and a lot of things. And I don't know. I wish I knew how to tell if somebody as a shapo, especially because I was actively trying to convince everybody. I woke up every day with a personal mission to have everybody believe that I was. I'd never advise anybody to do it. It was probably the worst thing I've ever done to myself. Before I even get to what it did to you 3 weeks ago, when I had all of you sitting around me and I said, "Oh, just by the way, I wasn't okay." And I remember when you were halfway through the book and you were asking me if I'm okay, and you were telling me about all the things that you saw happening in my life. You're like, "You're getting new jobs, you're getting promotions, you're getting this, you're getting that." And we are out here thinking everything is fine. And I saw the hurt in your eyes. I saw the worry. And I'd never want to put anybody through that ever again. And I would never encourage anybody to even try to do that. There's always somebody out there that's willing to help. There's always somebody that's out there that's willing to listen. It might not be the same family that I came out of. You might be coming from a family that is like, they just really don't care, you know, or they're just going through their own things and they're just not really bothered. But I truly, honestly believe, which I learned in my journey with the likes of Abu Prudence, who at the time when I was trying to put up this front, she would always come to him and be like, "Dumi, stop it. Stop it. We are here for you, just stop it." And I didn't give them a chance, but at a point where I actually opened up to her and I said, "Okay, Prudence, this is me." And I saw how all of that transformed and it changed even our relationship. I would never encourage anybody to put themselves through that. It's not easy to go out there and just be like, "This is me, take me as I am, let's deal." But if you do have the kind of people who are willing to be there for you, then take courage in that. And if you don't have those people, take courage in knowing that even you can still rise on your own. I did it alone. It was tough. But you can do it. There's just no point in you trying to convince everybody of something that is not real. Living your truth is probably the best gift you can ever give yourself. I know that now.
I remember one evening I was reading the book. Mama was also reading a book on the other side. And I could see she wasn't okay. She left and she went to bed. She left the book on the sofa. I was still reading mine, and then your son started reading the book. And I don't know whether Kemoya or is something else, or she was just prophesying, as they say. She came running to where we're sitting. She grabbed the book from Musa. He said, "Go and sleep, go and sleep." Then I was asking myself, now what's happening? And then she said, "Musa is reading this book." Now, let me ask you this question to say, when is the right time for us to give to Musa to say, "You can read this book"?
Now, there is no better time than now. Going back to the question you asked, Muruti, about considering my family, my children were probably the only people I really considered. There was a time when I sat there and I was like, yo, like if they read this book, they're probably gonna be like, ha, mama, you know? But there's victory that lies ahead. And I'd rather they learn now than for them to wake up 15 years later and be like, but why didn't you tell us? Or why didn't you teach us? We could be better people today, but you chose to keep it away from us. There's no better time than now.
I know I bought myself a book. Obakeng has got his own book. Mama bought herself a book. Mama, you must buy Musa's book today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
band in town, like y'all rock. Thank you so much. That was truly awesome. You're not done, right? I'll take that as a no, we're not done. Thank you so much. You guys are truly amazing. Like you said, it all started with our brother that's not here today. But let it live on forever. Because this, I don't even call it friendship thing anymore. It's brother sisterhood thing. It's truly awesome. And I hope you guys continue to be who you are and continue to be as great as you are. Continue to bless people with your art. It truly is amazing to see. And I'm honored to have had you guys here with me today and continue to support Utumi as she rises. Thank you. Mwanako hai uwebisa letsogo because he wants me to talk about you. Baby, I love you. Thank you for all your support, for all the things that you continue to do for me. ever. There's never been. And continue to be that guy. You are my number one. Sorry, husband, but she's number one, that one. And thank you for allowing me to keep you up at night with all my writing, with all my nagging, with all the things that we had to go through for me to get to this point with this book. Your support means a lot to me, and don't stop there. Continue, because it is through your support that your children will learn how to support. To everyone in these chairs, I thank you. When I turned my eyes, I saw Faith. Honey, you need to get that copy. You will understand why. But your presence here today means a lot. The day you and I met, I said to you, it provoked a core in me. That provoking is the result that you are seeing here today. So I'm so happy that we met. I'm so honored to have you here today to see what that event has done for me in my life. And I believe that that same event has done a lot for you. I'm looking at you today, you're like beautiful, you're amazing. Continue to be that. Continue to support mommy. She's awesome. Yes. With that being said, we have kind of come to the end of my talking, and I just want to leave everybody with these words. Stay true to who you are. Do not forget who you are made of, what you are made of. Do not allow anybody to dim your shine. Continue to rise. Continue to be awesome. Continue to excel in everything that you do. If not for yourself, let it be for those who are watching. Because I believe you are where you are because you saw someone someday. And they didn't let you down. Don't let yourself down. And don't let those who are watching be let down. You are all awesome. And I'm truly honored to have you here. Thank you.